Good afternoon. My name is Tatiana Davis, and I am proud to be speaking as the Salutatorian for the class of 2020. Before I get started, I'd like to take some time to say thank you to all of the principals, counselors, teachers, and faculty that have had a significant impact on all the students that will be graduating within the next few days. Your hard work, dedication, and love have been profoundly expressed throughout the hallways of Brandon High School. On behalf of the class of 2020, I would like to give a sincere thank you to Superintendent Dr. Sue Townsend and all of the other assistant superintendents for making this graduation ceremony possible. While many around the world won't be able to experience this special moment, these administrators made it their absolute mission to honor each and every graduate within our class, and for that we are truly thankful. Before I begin the rest of my speech, I'd like to take time and take a moment of silence for all of the healthcare workers, essential workers, and any families affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. Now that the emotional part of my speech is over, friends, families, teachers, and these empty bleachers, I'd like to welcome you to the commencement ceremony for the quarantined but illustrious class of 2020. Now I know many of you are expecting this smart, beautiful, young, Black queen to give you a long, drawn-out, and exceptional speech, but let's be real. Many of you know me as Tot, and I'm going to continue to be myself behind Mr. Eves and his camera. Plus, my mom told me not to take too long because she's keeping the car running in the tailgate area. For the past weeks, people have been telling me to document my experience like I'm supposed to be the next Anne Frank. So instead of giving you some long, drawn-out speech with words that I was definitely going to get off of Google, I'm going to share with you a letter that I wrote from the class of 2020. So sit back, relax, grab your popcorn, and in this case, even let your couch back, and listen to the letter to this relentless virus from our class. Dear COVID-19, aka Corona, it took us 12 years to get here today, and only took you a couple of years to change our lives drastically. Let's go back and reminisce about the good old days when we were admitted into kindergarten, the beginning of our journey. Our first day was a bundle of nervousness, fresh new book bags, supplies that only the teachers would use, and tears from our parents. Fast forward to middle school, where we finally got our first glimpse of freedom. We didn't need our moms to walk us to the front door anymore, or our teachers to walk us in a single file line in class. We could skip those all on our own. These were also the years where we witnessed our first football games. But I know for many of us, we just spent most of our time trying to get past Mr. Anderson into the tailgate area. Fast forward to high school, where our first day would be distinct from all the others. The difference between this first day and the rest was that our parents were actually excited to let us go. They cried tears of joy, not because they were excited for our new journey, but rather they had been dying to get us out the house since the last May that they let us out. As we walked into new unfamiliar territory, we imagined the worst and expected everything to go wrong. Would the seniors bully us? What clothes should we wear? How many more math teachers will we go through? And trust me, my fellow classmates understand what I'm talking about. But aside from all the blood, sweat, and tears that we put in for 4 years, we never imagined that you, Corona, would be our worst nightmare yet. Just a couple of short months ago, when all of our dreams and senior events of the spring were chasing us down like hurricanes in a gulf, you, Corona, decided to finally show up for class. You took away all of the luxury that we now understand were true blessings in disguise. Being able to spend an entire down payment on a dress or torch for one night, walking into prom for 5 minutes, or at least until they announced prom king or queen, and we all know who was going to win that one. Playing spring sports as a senior on the team, awards day, being able to simply roll another teacher's house. Not that we would actually ever do that. But nothing hurt us worse than when we found out we would not be able to have a traditional graduation ceremony. One last night to say our goodbyes to our fellow friends and classmates. With all of this being said, I can ironically see that you, COVID-19, have actually taught us some valuable lessons in these past few months. You've even resembled certain aspects of us, the quarantined but illustrious class of 2020. For example, just like us, you leave a mark or a lasting impression on everyone you meet. You love and aspire to travel, and when people underestimated you or called you a hoax, you didn't back down, just like our beloved class of 2020. Nonetheless, there is one major difference between you and us, and it's not the obvious. Our life is just beginning, yours is almost reaching its peak. XOXO, the class of 2020. In closing, the purpose of this letter was not to make people feel pity for the class of 2020. I wrote it with the intent to convey a message to my fellow graduates. Don't let this one moment be your peak in high school. For days, I was devastated that I wouldn't be able to traditionally scroll the stage to receive my diploma. I wouldn't be able to hear my mom scream, "That's my baby," without Mr. Gardner repetitively requiring people to hold all applause. However, with the help of my mentor and role model, the Marcus Stewart, I was able to realize this moment was all about perception. This brief stage of adversity was only a small taste of many obstacles to come. With this, I want to challenge you, the class of 2020, to not dwell on your current circumstances, but rather to surpass goals that you couldn't imagine. And remember, as Dr. Marshall always says, we will always be connected with one heartbeat and one sound.
Hello classmates and their family members, as well as my own. Long time no see. My name is Kyle Vong, and it's my honor to be Brandon High School's class of 2020's Valedictorian. Fellow members of the class of 2020. At the beginning of our senior year, the grand finale of our lives as high schoolers, I asked for an experience unlike any other. And needless to say, I got my wish, and I apologize greatly. I wanted my life to be like a movie, but I was thinking more Crazy Rich Asians and less Contagion. In the beginning, we were simple kindergartners, just trying to learn the basic functions of life. But I was over 1,500 miles away in California, so let's just jump to elementary school. Now, I still look back on the days of elementary school fondly, from texting my friends on my slide phone's keyboard to figuring out that boxes of chocolates don't work if, surprise, surprise, you do them anonymously. The trip that was elementary school was a wild ride from start to finish. But it still continued, and boy, did it come barreling in freshman year. As a wide-eyed freshman with a new hairstyle, I stepped confidently with my best foot forward and was immediately hit by the bus that is reality. Due dates, assigned readings, Math Excel, and more nearly buried me that year. But I found solace in the fact that I wasn't alone. I realized that I'm very fortunate I've bonded with my classmates that year. And I hope you all eventually found the same, even if it's just one other person or someone that didn't even go to Brandon. Sophomore year came next, and somehow we were full-fledged sophomores that thought we knew what we were doing. Until junior year, of course, came, which proved that we were oh so very wrong. I honestly thought junior year was going to be the worst one, until, of course, a literal worldwide crisis came and defined our senior year and brought upon one of the worst events to date, online schooling. Outside of a few common jokes though, I can't attest to anyone's experience except for my own, and it'd be disingenuous of me to treat one experience like one that we all share. But honestly, that's the beautiful thing. No matter what steps or events shaped you into the person that you are today, whether it's bonfires, Friday night games, show choir performances, studying, or just having fun that molded you, we're all here, on the football field, on our respective dates and times, of course. Heck, being the baby of the grade, a lot of you were already driving while I was still skateboarding from across the street, just trying to not fall in the intersection. The paths we took to the people that we are now are all different in their own ways, and it is for this reason that I'll instead talk about what's coming. Now, talking about the future always made me anxious. A wise poet once said, "You are too concerned with what was and what will be," and this phrase perfectly encapsulates the feeling I get when talking about the future. Like I'd focus so much on who I'm becoming that I forget who I am now. So thank you, Master Ugwe. As a result, let's take a moment to recognize who we are at this point in time, what we look like, what we value, what we want to improve, because I can assure everyone that not everything stays the same. In fact, if I learned anything from middle school, it's that you may look upon your past self with a mix of love, affection, and the desire to never think about it again. Yesterday's me and today's me are still me. And as we grow, we have to recognize that. I had a blast these past 4 years, dissecting worms, doing surgeries on pumpkins, acting a fool at pep rallies, and who could forget the absolute adrenaline rush that math gives. But it'd be remiss of me to only talk about the good times. High school is a weird period of our lives, and I'd be lying if I said that I fully know who I am, even today. But to me, that's what this is all about. No amount of literature you read or miles you run can shape you in the way that being in a building with over 1,000 other kids for 7 hours each day can. So allow me to say thank you for all the growing that you've helped me do. To all the friends who have always had my back, to the peers who helped teach me that people change, to the classmates that just by being there allowed me to experience new things, and of course the BHS staff, which helped cultivate all of that growth. Thank you. None of the paths that we take will be exactly the same. We'll have different highs, different lows, we'll meet different people, and go through different events. Such is the way of life. However, in the moments that seem low, I hope you remember who you are and what you live for. What excites you and makes your heart beat. So long as you remember those, I have full confidence that you will find your way. I hope that from this day forward, you find the strength to know yourself and speak your truth. I'm just a kid from California that enjoys learning a little bit too much and can't find the nerve to sit still for too long, or as most of you might call it, a nerd. I make videos about rice and write essays about why pineapple doesn't belong on pizza, and while I'm sure my endeavors aren't exactly normal, every one of you has their own tendencies and unique interests that make you, you. So please, own them. I stand before you now as Kyle Vong, and I honestly can't imagine better company to stand before and speak in front of. It is with a heavy heart that I say goodbye to the COVID 2019 to COVID 2020 school year, but let's not let this pandemic shape us, because we are so much more than this one event. I wish you all the best, and thank you all for the experiences. And I am proud to call myself a member of this class of 2020.